Our topic today is advice for retailers in a time of extreme disruption, and I'm here with Jenny Roman, who is Director of Solutions Consulting at E2Open. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you so much.
Tell me, how can retailers prepare for disruption?
Oh my goodness. Isn't that the question, right? I feel like
really
disruption is like, we hear that word so many times over and over. We've really seen, in the industry, we're seeing that really supplier collaboration is so key, right? We're really seeing that when you have good relationships with your suppliers, whether that's your actual tier 1 and tier 2 vendors and raw material suppliers, it might be your logistics partners, right? But having those good relationships with them, really communicating to understand where they're at in the process, what kind of disruptions they're facing, right? Like what's going to hit them, so that they can really help you understand, help our brands understand what might be coming.
Right. So we're looking at being aware of disruptions maybe far deep into the supply chain and having the relationships where you can know about those sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, right. And a big key of that too is diversifying right now. We have so many retail customers that are truly looking at diversifying across different new sets of vendors and raw material suppliers. They're looking at new regions, new countries to move into, because they have to have that backup nowadays. We went through a shift. Maybe 10 years ago, there started this shift that we wanted to really pare down the supply chain and try to have better relationships with a smaller set of suppliers. Well, now we're seeing, because of the pandemic, that we still need to reach out and grow a little bit more so that we have multiple places we can go to for our items, right? So that if one area does shut down, we have another option. So we don't have all of our eggs in one basket.
Sure, but that doesn't happen overnight, does it?
Oh, no, it definitely doesn't. It definitely doesn't. And that is, one of the things where we see people come to us and either looking for niche solutions to fix this one tiny little problem that they think they have. And when we really get into things and start discussing and get a better picture of what is going on internally in their organization, we really realize that the problem is not this one niche solution. And putting in a niche software solution to solve that one problem is just causing more silos and more of a disconnected conversation. And so that's really why we're really looking nowadays for that level 5 connected supply chain. And so any customers that we're talking to, we're trying to just make sure they understand, like, where can I go from here, right? Like all of our retailers, where can I go from here? What is the path, right? And so it's not a big bang. It's really tiny steps that we can do to get us there over time.
Right. Basically what you're talking about is a connected supply chain with free flow of communication and data.
Absolutely.
What does that look like for a retailer? How do they need to step up into that?
Well, I think that what we're seeing is that really people are coming and the conversations are, hey, I need visibility into my supply chain. And it's just as big a statement as that, right? And it's like, well, which pieces of the supply chain do you need? Like, do you have really robust 3PLs you're working with that are already kind of handling all of the logistics piece? Do you have a really robust planning solution? And we're seeing, I think, a big shift to make sure that when we're talking about supply planning in retail, we have to make sure we're getting the information from the suppliers for capacity and for lead times, right? And if we don't have that, then when we share a forecast out to a vendor, it means nothing. Right? It means nothing. And so anything that we've done to plan out when purchase orders should go out, when raw materials should be ordered, it's null and void, right? So being able to see all of those things in one platform, in that connected supply chain with your internal and external partners is really what's helping to become nimble, more diversified, being able to shift with those disruptions.
And what you don't know can hurt you, right?
Oh my goodness, right? You can't manage what you can't measure, I think is the coin phrase now.
So tell me, what best practices have you seen specifically in in retailers to deal with these kinds of disruptions and uncertainties?
Yeah, so we've got, so I work with many different retailers, and what I've seen through the pandemic disruptions is really the robust process of production tracking. So getting visibility, right, like 30, 40, 50 years ago, we used to look out the factory floor window and we could see exactly what was going on, right? Now we do that through technology, right? So any of our, the retailers I've spoken with that were able to really get through the pandemic without being crazy heads on fire, was really being able to see that production tracking. So yes, I have 50 orders out with a vendor, but which ones do I have any kind of liability on?
Right.
Which ones can I still cancel because nothing's happened on them? Which ones have materials ordered? Which ones have actually cut that material, sewn that material, and now I have finished goods sitting in a factory floor, either dead to me because I can't get them to a store to sell, or it's going to now take 72 days to get from China to the US because of logistics delays. So having the visibility to what's in work and in process really has been so key for people to make real decisions on what they can do at each supplier, right? And you can't do that in Excel and email, right? Like, because when you don't already have that information in a system and you're saying, hey, vendor, go look at the 200 POs that I have with you and tell me individually now. And that amount of work takes so much time and effort. And it's 2 weeks gone past before you ever even have an idea of what POs you can take effect on.
And some of these decisions have to be made very quickly.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, if you could give retailers one piece of advice coming out of this period of extreme disruption, but probably going into another,
I know.
What would be your one piece of advice?
Plan.
Okay.
A strategic vision.
Yes.
For internal, what is your organization really going to do over the next 3 to 5 to 10 years to solve the problems you have internally, right? It's not a big bang. Like, we can't solve all the things at once, right? So it's figuring out, looking at your full supply chain and picking the pieces that are the worst off right now, and starting with those, but making a plan as to how they're going to connect to each other, right? So you don't pull out every system that you have right now and put in something big and new and crazy. You pick the pieces that are still lingering in email and Excel, and we try to digitize that. You pick the pieces that, maybe have software that isn't working great for you or is siloed to one piece of your organization, and try to figure out a plan to get all of those things connected. Whether it is just through integration of those systems, better integration, or truly getting on one of those level 5 platforms, right? And the connected supply chain vision.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jenny, thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.
I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about how E2Open helps retailers deal with these disruptive challenges.
Yeah, well, so we are a fully connected supply chain software platform, right? We have everything starting with the consumer for channel management to understand how your goods are selling at different retail locations, and then feeding that into demand planning, supply planning, right? So the supply planning really kicking off the idea of what is the capacity of my vendors, what are the lead times of each of my products, and connecting that into then product lifecycle management, right? Of how does this even affect what I'm sourcing and think I'm sourcing, right? Do I need a different variation of products? Do I need to diversify locations? And really being able to pull all of it together, even then to the logistics and the global trade management, right? So restricted party screenings right now is huge. We saw just a huge uptick in the last couple months to make sure that we're not shipping anywhere illegally, making sure we're not getting any goods in from, Ukraine or Russia, and those volatile areas right now. So that's been a huge piece as well, and being able to really have all understand, what's going into this product, how I can better plan it in the future, how am I going to better plan my logistics of that product as well, like how can I make sure that I'm shipping full container loads and, booking ahead so that I can get, even on the ESG side of things, a more sustainable supply chain.
Wonderful. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
I've been here with Jenny Ronan from E2Open talking about how retailers deal with disruption. Thank you for watching.